before I get to anything, if there's a future senator on the phone, I take that call immediately.
That's
Representative Joe Sestak of the great state of Pennsylvania. Hello, Joe.
Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning, Congressman. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Well, I mean, I feel like a little kid in the back of the car on health care reform. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Well, we're not there yet over there in the Senate. That's why I want to end up over there here.
Right.
I'm running for it to be a little more bold and aggressive. But we're understanding the Senate's having a caucus this morning, and we should hear afterwards whether they're going to release portions or synopsis of the bill that they are about to put out. And we hear it has a public option, but I can't make for sure. Well, it's for sure if it does.
Wow. Do you hear what kind? An opt-out or a trigger or what?
No,
you don't know.
I don't. My concern is it will have some caveat on it, one of the two, but we just don't know.
Well, so the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, is going to give Senator Reid today, right? He should be getting the estimate.
That is correct.
So he's declined to commit to a test vote before Thanksgiving, so we're just not sure what's going to happen. I guess we'll know by the end of today.
That's right. I think there's very little chance, although I had heard that they want to at least have one day of debate on the bill. But I feel less certain about that right now. But I think what we're going to end up seeing, unfortunately, is it's going to take us through December, maybe even to January, before we get something through. We are going to be here most of December, and I'd stay here every day through weekends or anything to get this bill through. But it's just up in the air on the Senate side.
Well, so, yeah, I mean, Leader Hoyer and Reader, they're saying, December 18th, obviously, is they're targeting as the last day for the session of Congress. But there's also this jobs legislation, right?
Yes.
Is that going to get through, do you think?
It has to get through. This is something where Americans, this is all about middle-class working families. We've lost 10.5 million jobs in this savage recession. The Clinton administration created over 8 years, and one of the greatest expansions we had of jobs, 23 million.
Yep.
So if you prorate that, that means it could take us up to 4 years to soak up all the unemployment to get back to the normal unemployment rate. If we have to do anything, it's grow rapidly. So we have to have a jobs creation bill that also protects workers, like extending COBRA coverage so their health care is taken care of, because we want healthy workers. But I honestly believe that we have to be giving some tax credits to small businesses, not the large ones, the small ones that create 70% of all jobs. And there's so piece of legislation I've submitted on that, but we really have to get the small businesses incentivized to create these jobs. Plus, get back in that $100 billion that the Senate, including our inspector who bragged about it on his website, took out of the economic stimulus bill that had to do with construction jobs at a time when the unemployment rate among construction workers was 31%.
Boy. There must be a better option for senator in that state. Well, we'll talk about that later. But Leader Hoyer said it that, clearly 10.2% unemployment is unacceptable. What would be in the bill, for just a layperson? How is it going to create jobs, what you guys are working on?
Absolutely. First off, we should reinsert the approximately of that $100 billion. We have to reinsert the construction money that was taken out. I would say that's approximately $22 billion of that $100 billion. Number two, what we have to do is, and this gets to the small businesses, and I'm vice chairman of the Small Business Committee. I'm also in education and labor because I believe in a skilled, educated workforce. Those are the two sides. We need to have in here the microloans that have to do often with moderate and low-income individuals, that we give them microloans for $35,000. We need to up that to $50,000. Plus, for those often less enfranchised, we give 7A and 504C loans. Those are the kind of loans that you help people with very low rates, et cetera, to get going. What we want to do is guarantee those loans by the government almost 100%, maybe 99%. That way more banks will be willing to lend. Those community banks that aren't giving credit out right now to small businesses, lend those out. What we want to do is give a tax credit. And I have submitted a piece of legislation of 15% to small businesses that create jobs. And again, I'm stressing the small business side of this. What we want to do is to increase the kinds of loans that are given out from $3 million to $5 million from the U.S. government. What we want to do is let small businesses have the ability to, instead of carrying losses back just 2 years, to go back 5 years when they used to make profits and make that a permanent, or at least for the next 2 to 3 years, make that happen. So these are kinds of incentives that help create jobs in addition to that construction money that was taken out.
Congressman, when you talk small business, it's music to my ears because you're talking to a small business.
Absolutely.
By the way, can I have some money? All right, that's for another time as well. Listen, I need to get your, as obviously the highest ranking military officer ever elected to Congress, I got to get your take on the whole Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and the terror trials. And I mean, it really is puzzling to me. I have to say, you have the right wing screaming about this. You have Rudy Giuliani, who seemed to be a big fan when Moussaoui, what's his name, Zacharias Moussaoui, was convicted this way. It just seems so hypocritical on its face, doesn't it, to try to imply that somehow now the American justice system can't handle this.
I cannot think of a stronger signal of our resolve as Americans than to bring them to New York City, to where we are rebuilding.
Yep.
To where when you look out towards the east, we sent our men and women 6,000 miles to hunt them down. I was on the ground, as you know, Stephanie, head of the Navy's anti-terrorism unit for a short period of time at the beginning of that war, did retaliatory strikes, headed Deep Blue as we shaped, that's our anti-terrorism unit, shaped policies to bring these perpetrators to justice. And America is founded on that indispensable element of justice, rule of law, not of men. How can we not believe that our court system cannot handle this? And not only that, don't ever permit the terrorists to take us away from our principles of that issue.
Well, and Congressman, as you know, obviously we've talked Afghanistan many times, but are they saying it's better to let them go like we did Osama bin Laden and Mullah Omar at Tora Bora than it is to like the 93 bombing and Moussaoui? It's better. That's better than trying and convicting them in an American court.
My take on it is that what they are trying to say is they either aren't brought into a rule of law or they're taken into the military tribunals. Well, the military tribunals have twice been declared as wrongly constituted and unconstitutional in one of the two cases that went up to the Supreme Court. We redid the defense authorization bill out of my committee to try to address that better. All that said, my belief is that eventually everyone has to be brought into a court of law, and you can't just throw someone into a dark hole and throw the key away.
I know. It's not America. Congressman, I've talked about this from the perspective of, that my dad was a prosecutor at Nuremberg, and, to me, it seems pretty elemental. The difference is that was the German army. Those were war crimes. Like, this was not an army. Furthermore, Nuremberg was in Germany where the crimes were committed.
Right.
I just don't even get the argument against why this is somehow crazy to do this in New York where the crime was committed.
These individuals committed this outreach attack right here on our homeland. I was assigned to the Pentagon when 9/11 happened, and I believe we've done 200 terrorist sins in the last 8 years in our court system. We should take care of that issue right here in our court system. And those like in Yemen that went against the USS Cole overseas, those are going to come before the military tribunal.
Congressman, before you go, I want to get your take on what the president's decision is going to be on Afghanistan, because I think it is interesting timing, isn't it? The terror trials in New York and what to do, because like I say, if we had finished the job correctly in Afghanistan,
absolutely,
so I think that these events coming together. So the point is, now what do we do in Afghanistan? Now there's fewer than 100 Al Qaeda in Afghanistan.
Yes.
What should the strategy be?
Your last statement was very good. In the sense is it's not about Afghanistan because Al Qaeda is not there. It is about Pakistan where the Al Qaeda have gone. So I'm a strong proponent that we should give one last, not an open-ended commitment, but one last effort to help close the door along the borders of the Al Qaeda as we support Pakistan trying to eliminate the radical Taliban on their side of the border and that Al Qaeda safe haven. This really is about Pakistan. It should, and the administration tried to do this early on, it should be the Pakistan-Afghanistan strategy. The only issue we can really address remaining in Afghanistan is to leave behind some probability that conditions would be inhospitable to Al-Qaeda ever coming back. But if the strategy is linked and those troops are needed to link the support for closing the door in a pincher movement to Pakistan's eradicating that safe haven of al-Qaeda and the Taliban that protect them, I will support, and I think the president's going to go along that line. But I hope he doesn't try to nation build, because it is beyond it's too costly now to get the benefit from that effort.
Yep, absolutely. Congressman Joe Sestak from the great Commonwealth, actually, of Pennsylvania. Yes. Thank you, as always, for taking time for us.
Have a very nice day.
You too, sir. There he goes. I love him.
He's awesome.
Also, he knows we talk about terrorism because he was in charge of, as he mentioned, the coolest sounding thing ever, Deep Blue. That's the naval anti-terrorism.
Yeah.
You don't think?
Yeah.
It sounds like Shark Week or something, doesn't it?
It kind of sounds like a Jessica Alba movie.
It just sounds cool.
Sure.